Hey guys, how you doing? Luna here with a new video for the channel. Today we have a new Coldplay video. Yes, another Coldplay video. Half of the videos on this channel are about Coldplay, really. In this channel, I've reviewed their albums. I've talked over the fact of, why people hate Coldplay. I've also ranked their entire discography, every single one of their songs. I've done everything regarding Coldplay, and the reason for that is I just know the band really well. So I thought that it would be a nice video idea to grab every single one of their albums and pick the best song and worst song out of the album. Please remember that this is only my personal opinion, so if you have your own, then go ahead and leave it down below in the comments. I'm always really happy when I get interactions in my videos, so please feel free to leave your list down below. I'll make sure to check it out. With that being said, let's not make this video too long. Maybe this video will be shorter, I have no idea, but there it goes. The first album, of course, is Parachutes. Released in the year 2000. Everyone knows how huge this album was back in the 2000s. A really good debut for Coldplay. But which one is the worst song on the album? Parachute is a really solid album. It doesn't really have some great tracks in it, but it doesn't really have any bad songs in it either. But if I had to pick one song that I don't really like and I wished it was left off of the album, it's definitely High Speed. The reason why I don't like High Speed is not really because the track is bad. Actually, it's one of the best songs on the album, but it sounds like it was written by Thom Yorke, and I'm not really into that. It's not performed like a Coldplay song. Chris Martin has a particular way of performing, especially on that album, and that song just feels so different. I think it completely changes the pace, or let's not say the pace, let's say the aura behind the tracks of the album. So yeah, from Parachute, this is definitely the worst song. And the best track from the album, this is pretty much obvious, is Yellow. I know that if you watched my video ranking every single Coldplay song, if you haven't, then go ahead and give it a try. You know that my opinion on this song is not as good as many people, as for many people. But the thing is that for me, this is the best song on the album. It's just that I think it's a little bit overplayed. People just love to compliment Chris Martin due to this untuned guitar thing, when I think that's one of the worst things about the track. That guitar just doesn't sound good. The thing is that the song is really well written, and it is a good alternative rock song, but yeah, that's it. It is not as special as many people think it is, at least not for me. But you know what? Even then, I think this is the best track on the album. So yeah. From A Rush of Blood to the Head, this is a little bit harder. This is not clear for me. This is really difficult, actually. Because if we're honest, I think we can say that A Rush of Blood to the Head doesn't really have a bad track in it. Not even close. A Rush of Blood to the Head is a really prolific album. It's really solid. Most of the tracks are not only good, but great. So picking one that's not good, you really have to make an effort to nitpick everything from a song. Oh, I don't like this bit, I don't like that bit, in order to choose which one is the worst song. But even though it was hard, here it is. I think that A Whisper is the worst song on the album. I really like this track, and not only do I really like it, I recognize the importance of this track in Chris Martin's songwriting process. Maybe no one saw this coming in 2003, 2002, when these albums were being released. But the thing is that the formula used to craft A Whisper, it was the same thing that crafted the entirety of Viva La Vida. But even though this song is important, it does shift away from a lot of the sound that A Rush of Blood to the Head was building up to that point, especially considering the tracks that are right next to it. A Rush of Blood to the Head focuses way more on ballads and, just more romantic tunes. Again, I'm nitpicking. The song is amazing and it sounds amazing in the album, but honestly, I think that compared to the rest of the tracks, it's the worst one. And in terms of the best one, pretty much obvious as well. I know I'm being, just a basic bitch right now, but the thing is that The Scientist is the best song on this album. Yes, it's not Clocks. I believe that Clocks, even though it's an amazing track, is a bit more repetitive, and the lyrics are not, I know they're meant to be abstract, but really, sometimes it's just ridiculous. Instead, The Scientist just feels so calculated, so effortless as well. When a song has that middle lane between calculated and effortless, it just sounds so amazing. But the most important thing, the melody, it's amazing. It's beautiful, it's timeless. It's one of those times where Chris Martin makes a song that it doesn't matter if 20 years, 30 years go by, the song will still be beautiful. No one ever gets mad when you put The Scientist on, okay? So definitely the best track on the album. Now, from X and Y, it's actually easier to grab the worst song from the album and the best one, because the quality in this album, it's really, it's like a roller coaster. Sometimes you're listening to some of the best tunes Coldplay has ever pulled out, and then all of a sudden you're falling asleep to one of the most generic ballads in the world. Which is the reason why I'm putting Swallowed in the Sea as the worst track from this album. Not a bad song, honestly. Well, actually, yes, it is a bad song because it's Chris Martin again trying to make the type of ballads that worked out on the previous two albums. But it's more than obvious that he doesn't have as many good ideas as he had in the early years of the band, because it sounds so soulless. It doesn't sound like those ballads from before that you can tell that there was a lot of emotion in them, or at least an attempt to do something original or try to add their own sound into the ballad. Swallowed in the Sea just sounds like any other ballad in the 2000s, and I fucking hate it, especially because it's in an album like X and Y where Coldplay was trying to switch things up to a more, crescendo-ish thing. Talking about crescendos and stuff like that, it's the best track from the album, Twisted Logic. I know that a lot of people would say Fix You or The Hardest Part or maybe Speed of Sound. Also amazing tracks. Even some of you say Talk, which I definitely agree with. But for me, there's no other song that brings so much more energy into the table as Twisted Logic. From Chris Martin's songwriting, in terms of lyrics, this is one of the most interesting compositions that he has done. Johnny Buckland's guitar on this track is amazing, amazing. Guy Berman does a good job as well, and Will Champion just kills it on this track. I believe he is the star of the song. I believe that this track deserves way more attention. I believe that it's underrated. I don't know why this track was not made a single. Maybe because it was a bit more complex than what Coldplay usually does. But the thing is that I fucking love it. From Viva La Vida, again, we find ourselves in a little bit of a problem because most of the songs here are really good. So picking the worst track is not really that easy, but you know what? If I had to pick one, it would definitely be Cemeteries of London. Not precisely for anything, I don't really hate the track. I think, it does the job that it's supposed to do on the album. But comparing it to the other compositions on the album, feeling way more fulfilled, this track just feels way too short and sort of rushed in a way. Like it wasn't supposed to be on the album. Actually, there are many of the cuts in the EP released around that time are better than this song. Again, I'm not a hater of this track. I don't believe this is a bad track at all. It's just that compared to the rest of the album, this is not as good. Speaking about the rest of the album, I believe that the best song, not only from this album, but in Coldplay's entire discography, is Strawberry Swing. The composition on Strawberry Swing is perfect. The harmonies, the melody, how every instrument stays on the track until it ends. If you pay attention, that every single sound that appears at a certain moment on the track stays through the whole track, and it's wonderful. For example, the violin that starts at the beginning stays the whole way through. The first guitar loop when you start the song stays the whole way through. Even the clapping at the beginning of the song stays through the whole track. I love this song. I think it's the best song from the band, and definitely, obviously, the best song from the album. From Mellow Talento, I know that some of you may disagree with me, but the thing is, The Princess of China, for me, it's the worst track on the album. It doesn't really matter what makes this track feel so, bad. The thing is that it is bad. Rihanna and Chris Martin don't really go well together. And I know that maybe in live presentations, it's the best thing ever. Although, I don't think Rihanna will agree with you because she was forced to hug Chris Martin when he was sweating his soul out. Rihanna and Chris Martin don't really do a good duo. So yeah, this is the worst track from the album. The best one is a cliche, Paradise is definitely the best song on this album and one of the best songs Coldplay has ever released. I just feel like the track jumps from minimalistic to a great composition in a way that feels organized and feels well structured. And that's true for the most of this album. In tracks like Hurts Like Evan and Charlie Brown, pretty much the same thing happens. It goes from really quiet to really loud like this, and it works. It goes 0 to 100 really quick, and I just like it. Paradise for me is one of those songs that you just don't forget. Even if you've heard so much more music that you like way more, you always remember that first time that you jumped into Paradise and you heard those violins at the beginning, and you thought this was just going to be a ballad or something way quieter, and then all of a sudden it explodes and you're just amazed by it's just a wonderful feeling. I get goosebumps every time I remember the first time I heard the track. So yeah. From Ghost Stories, this was the easier album to choose from, the worst and the best. The worst is Another's Arms. I'm not going to jump into detail about why I don't like this track. What you're going to do is you're going to stop this video right now, or after you finish this video, leave it written down so you don't forget. Go and listen to that song and you'll tell me, okay, the track is not, it's the worst from the album. You don't need to listen to the rest of the album to know that this is the worst track. And the best song from the album is Sky Full of Stars. I think this is one of the most wholesome compositions that Chris Martin has ever pulled. It's beautiful, the lyrics are beautiful, the Avicii combination is also great. I just think it's a nice track, nothing that special. I think that the only thing that makes this track special is how simple and enjoyable it is. You don't have to commit to listening to the track in order to enjoy it, you can just enjoy it and that's it. From A Head Full of Dreams, it was also quite easy to find a track that I disliked the most, and that is Fun. Often when Chris Martin, just tries to do something with a female, I don't really like it. When, the track list was announced and I saw this feature, I was like, okay, maybe we'll get something good out of this. Well, it isn't. And the best track on the album, it's a bit of a tie between Hymn for the Weekend and Adventure of a Lifetime, but I think that for the sake of everything bad I've said about Chris Martin and women, I think I'm going to choose Hymn for the Weekend just to show how great chemistry Chris Martin and Beyonce had on this song. It's incredible, flawless. I love it. I love how it sounds. I love how well their voices harmonize. I love Beyonce's, majestic and elegant work on this song. This is, Chris Martin's pop songwriting at his best. This is one of the best songs in this style that he has ever pulled. So yeah, I love this song. I definitely recommend this song if you haven't heard it. But this song has 2 billion views on YouTube. So pretty much, I'm pretty sure you've heard it before. But just go ahead and listen to it again, just so we can celebrate that Chris Martin did a good song with a woman. From Everyday Life, this is also hard because here's the thing. Everyday Life doesn't really focus on singles or one particular song that it's supposed to be better than the others. So a lot of the songs were only used as interludes to connect certain parts of the album with, a different part of the album. And sadly, Old Friends is a track that is supposed to connect the previous track with this weird Benny Adam thing. So I'm gonna pick that one as the worst track from the album, but really Everyday Life doesn't really have a bad song. But as a track, individually, this is one of the weakest tracks Coldplay has ever released. Plus the track is so short. I think it was Coldplay trying to recreate that same sound they had on Parachutes, but they didn't really do it. It's just a nice interlude and that's it. And the best song from the album, it's definitely Arabesque. I know that a lot of people say that this track is overrated, but let me tell you something, you're overrated. Something that I can tell you is that most likely Coldplay didn't really have much to do with this track, because I really doubt that Chris Martin pulled that horn solo by himself. Many of the things that made the track great doesn't really have a whole lot of Coldplay in it, but it's still an amazing track and it has Coldplay's name in it, so that's pretty much enough for me. This is one of the most interesting, adventurous and risky songs that Coldplay has ever pulled off. And often when Chris Martin tries to do something different, it doesn't really pay off all the time. Actually, most of the times it's a piece of shit. But in this case, it's one of their best compositions. It's one that I enjoy a lot. I love the chemistry behind this, jazz band and Coldplay. And in that sense, it does an amazing job. Definitely my favorite track from the album. Last and least, we have Music of the Spheres. If you watched my discography ranking, you know that I don't really have much love from this album. I actually have very little love for this album. I think this is the most uninspired, politically charged, and family friendly thing that Coldplay has released, and it bored me. So for the worst tracks, I could pick about half of the album and I'll be happy with my decision. But if I had to pick just one, then definitely I'm going with Let Somebody Go. You sold this album as this great space odyssey, and most of the album kind of delivers in that way. Most of the album tries to be spacey and all that. So what the fuck is Let Somebody Go? Explain it to me. Let Somebody Go does nothing for it. Nothing. It's basically a ballad midway through the album. What the fuck is Selena Gomez doing on that track? And if you were gonna put her on the track, why not try your best at building some sort of chemistry between you two? The chemistry is broken not only from the performance they pulled off, but also from the production. Chris Martin's voice is produced in a raw way, where you can see that he doesn't often nail the notes that he wants to nail, or he has some scratchy throat or rusty throat. Selena Gomez sounds out-of-tuned and perfect. Why did you do that? Why not make both of them out-of-tune or both of them raw? The same thing happened with my universe between BTS and Chris Martin, but I can accept that a little bit more. Because at least in my universe, I can't understand a fucking word they're saying. Instead, Selena Gomez is saying some of the worst lines I've ever heard in my entire fucking life. Do you remember that line where she said something about mathematicians saying that love is only equal to the pain? Who the fuck said that? And the best song from this album, I think it's a tie between two songs. One is Higher Power and the other one Coloratura. If I had to pick one, I think I'll pick Coloratura, just because it's more, I don't know, it's a better composition overall. But many of the times I find myself listening to Higher Power and rather, choosing Higher Power over Coloratura, just because it's more simple and not as long as Coloratura. With this 10-minute composition and sort of progressive rock thing, although it's not progressive rock at all, it's just a really long ballad, but let's call it progressive rock and let's say that it is. I believe it's a great ballad. I believe it's a great song, and it only shows the potential of what could have been if, with this album they would focus more on building up the concept rather than just trying to please every single minority in the US, by the way. If the American youth tomorrow says, you know what, I think that fucking your sister is something that, belongs to the social rights of the LGBT, Black Lives Matter, the Latino community supports the idea of fucking your sister, you can bet that tomorrow every single artist from the mainstream, sadly, including Coldplay, is going to release a song about why is it a good idea to fuck your sister. But you know what, anyway, I'm getting off topic. The best song from the album is Coloratura, and the worst song from the album is Let Somebody Go. That is it for today's video, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any other videos that I upload. With this video, I don't really have any other video ideas for Coldplay. I don't really know what am I going to talk about next. I'm just gonna have to wait for them to upload another, to release another album, and most likely that's not gonna happen anytime soon. Also, I want to know which one, in your opinion, is the best and worst song from each and every single one of the albums. Leave it down below in the comments for me to check it out. With that being said, guys, once again, I really hope that you enjoyed, and I hope I can see you soon with another video. But until then, bye.